Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, 6.1 in-class practice. This is the continuation of our 6.1 notes where we discussed all of the properties of exponents. So now we're going to take those properties and start using them. But before we do that, let's review the three properties we talked about. The first one was the product properties, where if we have x squared times x cubed, if we have the same base, remember that we add the exponents and we get x to the fifth. Our second rule that we talked about was the quotient rule, where if we are dividing the exponents, we take a look to see who wins, the top or the bottom. And in this case, the bottom wins, and the bottom wins by 1. If your exponent's 1, you don't need it. Everything on the top cancels out, and when everything on the top cancels out, we leave a 1 there. And then the last rule that we talked about was if we have x squared all to the third power, that is really saying 2 times 3. And then our final answer would be x to the sixth. Okay, so those are the three rules that will be going on this entire page. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started. So it says simplify the following exponential expressions by using the properties of exponents listed above. Okay, and remember, simplify, that means to clean it up. Okay, so let's clean this stuff up. Looking at number 1, we have 2 cubed times 2 squared times 2. Remember, if it doesn't have an exponent, there's a 1. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to add those numbers. Your base stays the same. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. Okay, now if it's a number raised to an exponent, we want to put it into your calculator. Okay, so 2 raised to the 6th power gives us 64. So 64 is our final answer. Okay, all right, number 2. Now my base is the same. Those are the exact same, so I'm not going to change them. And all I'm going to do is add the exponents. Okay, now it started in parentheses, so I'm going to keep that in parentheses, and 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, I'm just going to write down that we added those. And so when I plug that into my calculator, I'm going to make sure that I keep it in the parentheses, so that's -3 raised to the 6th power. And then we get our final answer of 729. Okay, number 3. My bases are the same, and we add the exponent. So 4 plus 5 is 9. And since we don't know what r is, that's all we can do. All right, number 4. Number 4 is different just because we've never done anything with the coefficients. Now, if there are coefficients out in front, we're going to do what it tells us to do, and that operation is multiplication. So -5 times -4 is a positive 20. Okay, so now we've got a positive 20m, and how many m's do we have? Well, remember, we add those up. 6 plus 3 is 9. Excuse me there, sneezed. So our final answer is 20 m to the 9th. Okay, let's look at number 5. Okay, so number 5, once again, let's take a look. We have coefficients, so we have to take care of the coefficients first. -2 times -6 is a positive 12. Now let's take a look at the y's, okay? Remember, that is y to the first, and we're going to add those exponents. So what is our new exponent? 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay, number 6. Once again, take care of the coefficients. Negative 1/2 times 16. If you guys can't do it in your head, do it in your calculator, okay? You have a negative 1/2 and you're timesing it by 16, okay? And we get negative 8. And then we need to add the exponents, so that's 10 plus 7. The base stays the same, and we get negative 8w to the 17th. All right, number 7. Okay, I'm going to take care of my coefficient first. 10 times 7. 10 times 7 is 70. We need to write these in alphabetical order, so the A's coming first. So let's just look at the A's. Well, there's no exponent for the A. Remember, it's 1. So 2 plus 1, we get A to the 3rd. And now we look at the B's. Remember that first B has an exponent of 1. So 1 plus 9, 1 plus 9, we get B to the 10th. Always make sure to write those in alphabetical order. Okay? All right, number 8. Once again, we're looking at the coefficients first. Okay? So I'm doing the same thing I did in the last one, negative 2/3 times 8, and I get something funky. But once I change that into a fraction, okay, I can see that that's negative 16 over 3. All right, so I've got negative 16 over 3. Now I need to look at the m's. 3 plus 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. And then looking at the n's, we have 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 is 14. So we have negative 16 over 3, m to the 5th and to the 14th. Okay. All right. The quotient rule. Remember, when we're dealing with the quotient rule, we want to know who wins, the top or the bottom. So in this case, the bottom wins. And the bottom wins by 2. Now, everything on the top is crossed out, but when everything crosses out on the top, we always leave a 1. Okay? And we talked about this, when you have a number with an exponent, we want to figure what it is. Okay, what is 2 squared? Okay, 2 squared is 4. So we get our final answer of 1/4. Okay, so 10, who wins, the top or the bottom? All right, well, the bottom wins. Everything on the top cancels out. And then remember, we subtract those, so you're doing 12 minus 4. So 12 minus 4 is 8. I don't know what m is, so I can't solve it anymore. So this is our final answer. 11. N over 38 all over n to the 38th. Well, they're the exact same, so they both cancel out. But remember, when everything cancels out in division, we're left with 1. Okay? All right, 12. Let's look at our fraction first, negative 4 over 12. Okay? Now, if you don't know how to reduce it, you can put it into your calculator. It'll tell you it. And in my case, I have to change it to a fraction. So you get negative 1/3. Okay? So negative 1 over 3. And now let's take a look. With the y's, who wins, the top or the bottom? Okay, the bottom wins, and the bottom wins by 2. So we get negative 1 over 3y squared. Okay, we skipped 13 in class, so we're going to skip 13 in their notes. Number 14. Look at your coefficients right there. If you don't know how to reduce that, just throw it into your calculator and change it to a fraction. Okay, and it's 47 over 6. So let's take a look. Alphabetical order first, so I'm going with the X's. So I have 4 on the bottom and I have 7 on the top. Who wins? Well, the top wins. So I have more X's on the top, and the top wins by 3. So now we're looking at the W's, and for the W's, the bottom wins, and the bottom wins by 4. So we get 47x cubed, all divided by 6w to the 4th. 15. Take a look at the numbers right there. Negative 17 over 34. If you don't know how to do it, plug it into your calculator. That actually reduces to 1/2. Okay? So looking at the A's, well, they're both to the first power, so they both cancel out. Now looking at your B's, they're both B squared, so those cancel out. So all we're left is 1/2. And that's our final answer. Number 16. Remember that 4 goes to everything with an exponent. But don't forget that 2 has an exponent. You have to add it there. So we're going to distribute the 4 to everything. So the 2 and the k get new exponents. 2, and so we're going to multiply 1 times 4. 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. Those are our new exponents. Anything with a variable, we need to simplify. So 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 16. So we get 16k to the 12th. Okay, 17. Once again, remember that negative 4, there's one of those, okay? So we're talking about negative 4 and C. 1 times 3 is 3, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So when we're plugging in negative 4 to the 3rd, remember if it's in parentheses, we want to keep it in parentheses so we don't lose that sign. So negative 4 to the 3rd is actually negative 64, and then C to the 6th power. For number 12, don't freak out because there's a lot of stuff there, okay? I'm going to add my exponents, and then we're going to start distributing. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 times 1 is 2. The only thing we can simplify is negative 5 squared. Negative 5 squared is 25. And then our variables are already in alphabetical order. So we're done. All right, next one. Remember, if it doesn't have a variable or an exponent, it's got a 1. And even because these are a fraction, it doesn't mean we don't distribute. We distribute to everything. 1 times 3 is 3 for both of those. Okay? So the bottom, we still have w cubed, but on the top, 6 to the 3rd power is 216. Okay? And 14, once we start doing more problems like 19 and 20, or 13 and 14 in this case, you always want to see if you can reduce the fraction. And for these first ones, we can't. So thankfully, you don't have to worry about that. But what you do have to worry about is that you distribute that exponent to everything. Okay? So you have to distribute it to the -3, the n, and the m. Okay? So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? So our final answer for this, we have n to the 8th, m to the 12th, but we need to figure out what -3 raised to the 4th power is. And you get +81. Okay? So since we can't reduce anything, that is our final answer. Okay guys, well that's it for Algebra 1, 6.1 in class practice. If you have any questions, please come find Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice saying thanks for watching.